I know for your Africans #1 YouTube channel. Welcome to the studio. Over the course of the week, there have been a lot of stirring on the internet as the Member of Parliament, Reverend Honorable Intim Fojo of the Asin South, came out with a public press, which I see to be an allegation against the New Democratic Congress, which is the NDC, and its caucus, about an aircraft that landed at the Kotoka International Airport with an allegation from his mouth saying that this aircraft landed in the country with a mission of money laundering and drug dealing. Let's hear from the horse's own mouth.
On the matter of air med flights and Kavok Air private jets transporting suspected cocaine and cash. Ladies and gentlemen, on another security matter related to our airspace, the Minority Caucus calls on national security to, as a matter of urgency, make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash transported into the country by two suspicious flights, namely Air Med flights NH23AM and Kavok Air private jets Antonov An-12B, which landed on the tarmac of Kotoka International Airport in March 2025 from Gran Canaria, an island of Spain, and departed to the same Gran Canaria days after their arrival. Reliable intelligence intercepted by the Minority Caucus indicates that on March 20th, 2025, Air Med flight NH23AM, which is an air ambulance, and I must stress, it's an air ambulance designed specifically to carry patients, landed at Kotoka International Airport in Accra, Ghana, and remained in the country for 5 days before departing 1 a.m. on March 25th, 2025, back to Gran Canaria. Our intelligence further persists that no patient was transported by the said Air Med flight, neither to nor from Accra. There is no evidence of medical referral of or patients accompanying or on board the flights on either legs of the flight. We are reliably informed that contrary to the expectation that the Air Med flight would carry patients, the purpose for which it was designed and operates, it rather on this occasion carried suspicious cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash in various United States dollars denominations. In a related development, a private jet Kavok Air Antonov An-12B also landed at Kotoka International Airport on March 12, 2025 from the same island of Spain, Gran Canaria, and remained in the country for 13 days and departed at 6:40 hours, that is 6:40 a.m. on March 25th, 2025 to Gran Canaria. The very day Air Med flight also departed to Gran Canaria. While it is intriguing that the two suspicious flights would depart to the same location on the same day, even more intriguing is the cargo suspiciously transported by these aircrafts to and from Gran Canaria, an island known for its notoriety in drug trafficking, money laundering, among others. We call on national security to make full disclosure of the content of the cargo carried by these two aircraft into the country, as well as the cargo carried out of the country by the same aircraft to Gran Canaria, consistent with the principle of transparency in our collective quest to fighting drug trafficking and money laundering.
Upon this allegation, quickly, as a gentleman of the land, President John Dramani Mahama quickly responded on his social media page on Facebook, which I saw personally, that drew my attention to the whole concept, telling all the national security agencies and the various investigation departments within the country to quickly look into the case and see what truth is of the allegation that the Honorable Member of Parliament was making against the NDC. Moving forward, President John Dramani Mahama also make it, and I quote in his statement, that Reverend Honorable Intim Fojo should also help the investigative department, very investigative department, to make the investigation very easy by providing some evidences, since he is the horse whose mouth these informations were coming from. Prior to that, after that post, there was a social media alleged message, which was a response from Reverend Intim Fojo to the president, saying he did not ask them to ask him questions, but rather to investigate into the matter. This is my personal opinion. Do not forget, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, kindly do us good by subscribing to the channel by hitting that bell notification icon also on your screens. That makes it possible that whenever we post a video, you'll be the number one to chance on it. And also do not forget, your likes and your views under the comment section are welcome. Here, we do not condemn anybody, but here we share our opinions and view willingly. Do well to like the video and share. These are my personal opinion. As a reverend minister, reverence means someone who is to be reverenced by holding that person in high esteem. I expect a certain level of dignity, especially him being in the political scene. It's a very crucial and a very critical point for him, because it is only a thin line that is drawn between him, politics, and being a reverend or a representative of Christ on earth. And so if care is not taken, he will end up steadying his Christianical government or his clergy government by becoming politically aligned into issues or matters that are actually not credible, but have a lies and a forgery images like what he just did. Why did I say this? In response to the allegation he has made, came out the president's spokesperson, Felix Kwachi Fonsen, who is the spokesperson to the president, Minister of State and the government of communications. He has come to discredit his allegations. And for me, when you look at the person, the way he is communicating and the exact statement, he answered every allegation one after the other with evidences. Before we go to hear what people from various social media platforms are commenting, their expressions, their view, some have expressed how bad they feel Reverend Intim Fojo has treated this matter. Before we go into those comments and our reactions, let's hear what the spokesperson of the president has said.
In the last few days, the disinformation machine of the new patriotic party has been ratcheted up, and they've taken it a notch higher. This time, Reverend Intim Fojo, who also doubles as the member of parliament for the good people of Asin South, has made very wild claims to the effect that 2 aircrafts which passed through Ghana for various reasons were carrying drugs, and that was the reason why they were here. He also alleged that they were involved in money laundering, and therefore he was calling for investigations. As you may be aware, President Mahama gave him the opportunity to present any evidence or any basis he has for making that claim to the security services, so that together we could look into the matter to ascertain whether there was any truth in it. I can report to you that because he knew he was peddling total falsehoods and lies, he now claims, after being invited to assist with investigations, that he was speaking on behalf of the committee that he was part of, and that the views he expressed were not his personal views. So because of that, he says he's unable to cooperate with the security agencies. I say that he was peddling falsehood because the facts as they exist vary completely from the claims that he made. When he made that claim, he was only seeking to peddle falsehood in a bid to undermine the confidence that the people of Ghana have in this government. The truth is that 2 aircrafts with completely different purposes arrived in Ghana, and their arrival was perfectly legitimate and they were here for very genuine reasons. The first one is an Antonov Flight 12BK with registration number CVK 7037. Now this flight essentially is a cargo plane which arrived on the 12th of March 2025. Now no plane arrives in Ghana without a landing permit. So this plane secured a landing permit with number GAF/TMAO/25/7863. Now the purpose for arriving in Ghana was what we call a technical stop. Essentially, this is a cargo flight that was destined for the European Union market. And European Union regulations dictate that some specific regulatory requirements be met before any plane of that sort can enter the EU. Now this plane originated from Luanda in Angola. It was loaded with oil drill equipment and lubricant oil which were contained in jerrycans. It was headed for the EU market. Now Luanda does not have the certification to carry out the sort of requirements that this plane had to meet before entering the EU market. Now the specific requirement is a scanning and screening RA3 procedure, which is a requirement to enter the European Union. Rwanda doesn't have it. The Swiss cargo facility at the Kotoka International Airport has that certification, and they can do that kind of scanning. Whilst here, it developed an engine blade fault. Its engine blade was damaged, and then it was also detected that there was severe oil leakage, which required immediate attention. For that reason, a replacement aircraft, URCEZ, with registration number CVK 7007, was brought in to evacuate the cargo. The aircraft that was damaged remained here for 13 days. That is between 12 March and 25th March 2025. After it had been inspected by aviation security officials of the Narcotic Control Commission, officials of National Security and National Intelligence Bureau, no contraband or unlawful commodities were found on the aircraft. Now the second aircraft in question is a Hawker 800 XP with registration number N823AM. Now this aircraft is operated by an organization called AirMed International, which is based in Birmingham, Alabama, in the United States of America. It operates as an air ambulance. Now, Air Medical International flights in Ghana are handled by Tropicana Airlines. Now, this plane landed in Ghana on 20th March from Gran Canaria, Las Palmas, Spain, having gone through Luanda in Angola. Now, it was also here for a technical stop, which is refueling and crew rest, which is perfectly legitimate activity. It was cleared to land in Ghana with clearance number GAF TWXR252604 OFAA0297/25. Now, whilst it was landing in Ghana, it developed a tire burst and some difficulty with its landing gear, and therefore needed to remain here to be serviced. So another aircraft with registration number N864 arrived on 22nd March with tires and flight engineers from Luanda to replace the damaged tires of the aircraft. Now, once this was fixed, it departed the Kotoka International Airport on 25th March. The aircraft was once again inspected by officials of aviation security, officials of national security, officials of the National Intelligence Bureau, and NACOC, who made sure that it did not contain any unlawful substances, as alleged by Reverend Intim Fojo. So, in a nutshell, the claims of Intim Fojo are false. He cannot prove it. That is why he is running away from the investigative bodies. He is unable to provide any shred of evidence to back his claim. I urge you to be wary of a desperate MPP that believes that the best way to claw his way out of the humiliating defeat they suffered in December 2024 is to peddle these falsehoods under the guise of performing legislative oversight. Whilst we welcome legislative oversight and scrutiny and criticism of any sort, aimed at ensuring that we improve upon governance, it is important to condemn this level of political obscurantism, which is deliberately targeted at misinforming people and misleading the public and bringing government's name into disrepute for no reason. Reverend Tim Fojo has failed to honor the invitations extended to him by national security because he does not have a shred of evidence, and he will never be able to provide any evidence to back his claim because none of the things that he said were true.
You have heard from his mouth replying Reverend Tim Fojo. Now, in one of Reverend Tim Fojo's statements, according to the spokesperson of the president, he said, and I quote, let me read exactly. He said, these claims was not his personal views, but he's speaking for the NPP caucus, which means representing the NPP MPs in parliament. This is the question here. Reverend Tim Fojo, you are not the leader of the minority. In fact, as you are termed and labeled mini micro minority, you are not the leader of them. How come you, carrying the reverend title, coming out to be the one to let this forgery accusation against the whole country? And you see, this is my pain. Sometimes if things like this happen, you have painted black how incredible the leaders of this country, Ghana, to Africa and to the world at large, because we live in a social media world where within a second, a false information reach the international scene. I mean, these have discredited the credibility and how good we think the so-called leaders and the people we have voted for into power are behaving and are acting. This is not expected. Even if it was true, I asked a question over the time that you waited way from the month of March when this aircraft landed with this concocted or concussion of lies to just paint black the new government that is ruling the country. What at all will you gain as an MP? What will you gain? What will you gain? What will you gain? Sometimes it's crazy. Once we have an issue at hand of a whooping over 1,300 containers missing at the airport and the country's attention is on, they will cook a story to just, take off our minds. Now, this is the big question I ask you. Even when I heard the news, I was very patient to see the details before I come up, because I know you people are very credible. You give your time to watch. I need to give you the good and the right satisfying information. I was like, are we trying to say from the head of Customs Division, Immigration at the Kotoka International Airport to the lowest rank member within that jurisdiction, they are all corrupt? No. At least among many bad people, there is that one person who will say a big no. Because the aviation or the Ghana Airport Authority have not come out to make any complaints of assault, of money laundering and drug issue. But now, the minister, the spokesperson for the president, is saying that this aircraft landed, which are the reasons he narrated. Some had some challenges that they need to learn to be checked and reworked.
Now, this aircraft is operated by an organization called Airmen.
Some oil and some crude oil and some stuff, which you have watched from his own mouth. And you can see clearly that his response is so explicit, excellent, clear, straight, and direct. Now, these are some social media reactions. For me, I know, under the law, this also can be termed as defamation against the whole government. Why? Because you have just said a lie without a proven evidence. Because if there was an evidence, probably you'd have brought it out with a counter order to let good citizens of this country, Ghana, knows that these people are doing something bad. I'm not trying to side, but you see, when we have leaders who are, bush, they are confusing us with informations. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to make fool out of us after voting for them? Are they trying to? So I was like, Could the whole airport authority be so corrupt like that nobody will come out to make these complaints? So now you see a reverend and an MP for that matter. So you will see, I went into his X account and you will see him accusing and labeling the Asante regional minister, the young man who is working so vibrantly, as a TikTok minister. He stated category, and I quote, the Asante regional TikTok minister is ranting and venting his frustration at the Ghana fire service, whilst Doomsaw sadly set ablaze hard-earned stores and properties of our dear brothers and sisters in Odum. And I have just two questions to ask him. And let's look at the questions here. He said, one, would the fire has started in Doomsaw if Doomsaw had not returned to Kumasi with the government? Look at the question he's asking. As if it was the minister who went and lighted the fire. As if it's the minister who works at the various energy grid systems. You see, sometimes, Charlie, enjoy Jimieno. Jimieno enjoy. Because the Jimieno, honestly speaking, is too much. Jimieno, we have to stop it. I voted for, a man who is a reverend, carries so much dignity, and want to play this political dirty game. You will just tarnish your image as a reverend. And all these things you're asking, that guy is not ranted. He just came into power. He just started barely a month. And all these things are happening. How does this? Calling him whatever. I mean, it's a shame. And his second post on his X account, you see on the screens, it said from 3,000 to 2,500 containers. He posted this on March 28th. He said from 3,000 to 2,500. Now we are told it's 1,400 containers of ECG equipment and accessories imported into the country and paid for have suddenly obtained wings and flew away. So far, only 40 of the missing containers have been found. But this happened during the NPP era. And according to investigations that are surfacing now, it is appearing, allegedly, that your vice president to be, Napo, and honorable member of the parliament, a strong member equally of the brotherhood, Honorable Marking Apenyo, there's alleged news all over the social media that all these people are somewhere related. So for me, when I check this man, Reverend Minister, Reverend MP, whatever, right now, I could see that he plays dirty political game. At least you should be an exception. When the people of your constituency go to your platform, you see that, hey, he's a reverend, so at least he's leading up with some entitlement of, a good Christian values. And you want to play this dirty games? Gentlemen, jai. Now, until you people make this country better, forget him. This is the truth. If you're a leader and your impact and the things that comes out of your mouth, you are a reverend minister. Bible says that in a man, according to the book of Psalms, that bridle his tongue is a perfect man. And Bible says that the tongue is the smallest element among all the organs in the body, but yet it's boastful of many things and it can cause great problems. And it's very poisonous. And they're talking like this. I'm shocked. So some people are saying this is equally a defamation. What do you think should be done to this member of parliament? And do you think his alleged accusations are right? And why should he do this? Let your opinions and your comments flow under the comment section. I'll bring you many more updates on this matter. Henry Woodford, Asana.